Good morning, and I will begin with the Manjushri prayer. Manjushri Nama Sangite. Lamandang Gumbo Jembo Yang Lai Chansa Lo Kongi Lonje Jimyen Jinda Nidra Nanda Erabza Jinyen Dengen Jijin Zijir Nidji Tukara Lekbam Zen Kanda Sepe Tsundara Mari Mendun Dunga Enjizrewe Dozo Kanla Puji Tarze Yen Lan Chuju Yongden Zon Rudra Chedro Nyemo Nyelo Leji Chadro Doze Jen Mare Menze Dunga Nyugo Jinyen Junze Ralje Nam Dene Dajin Saji Tarze Yenden Lizon Jaze Tuve Go Choda Choda Chonyin Jenden Dale Menze Jambe Yangla Ende Mara Bazana de 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 Mara Mara Bazana de 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 Mara Bazana Umara Bazana de Mara 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 Bazana de Umara Bazana de Zenden Jinji Chenra Vizre Dale Demo Membarazane Kodan Denji Shunlo Tobai Loje Bobi Nawan Zandu Sonje Jingo Redan Jingur Nyanze Jada Kaden Sonda Majeba Balawajinji Jijabeja Jendu Jima Mebala Guira Dode Kozungu Bachimbe Gonen Chanza Jinjab Shewa Nenzeram Tamje Dodu Jiji Suzim Branze Dozo Kangi Shazanda Emingum Gesar Zimbe Nonda Jen Zembe Sive Zendum Barvendu Kunmi Gendu Zejur Tuje Dama Kune Shirenji Densum Je Konja Be Tuam Be Monkarbe Shebe Terenda Le Yenzorashon Ujen Zolim Be Mendombo Zeren Jave Namdo Ranjen Njedo Senzo Beje Enden Chombarwe Be Manjunen Dale Yenzorashon Gambolo Duaria Devanda, Domain, Jolan Jinda, Jujun, Janan Baozo, Zanlin Jenjo, Nanjenda, Ejon, Conde de Garin, Jenin Begulo, and Dengunjunga, Vishazardo, Nimbi, Bebe Nanjurba, Jime Vesir Shabjenda, Ejon, Ridon Jamba Junu, Janale, Gombilon, Lepo, Peter Jedul, Londo Junzen, Jamzen, Wanjur, Mivan Jambi, Anjeda, Ejon. Kangi dala riba laba dan doji tenje menga na lazo laba zada ungurushin lambi muji tinchen la menda ishon namo guru chinyin pa mendenje che zala gunjaran chung tuji jimbe ten tuji gala gamenda na wa palden la meja jenda ishon yende sanje kunda nyana ya kaden sanje kune la bigan savi la meja la soande Tazon dove lam nan chela njur Konda chujur dongi jidena Deje lamar jurba kanso da Tindir dambe chuji chan bebe Sembra deba da dandir sheshe Namo arya damba Lai ke dan lu dan jinge Ndubum da dame ke nam dan Dua kunji danam chizambar Tamje ke do susur te jur chi Manjur doa namka danyam besim jen tamje Seba Hamsung Kurwa Dunganji, Jundenyi le Tarde, Tanyi le Meneba, Zobi Sanji Chumnende Jingo Hwan Rinpoche Chine Jamgwe Brasha, Tei Chedu, Tikba Chimbe, Shunglu, Jase Chimbo Shiwala, Tenyi Jizebe, Shung Chimbo Chanju, Sembi Cheba Lanjuba, Tenyi Tsushindu Sene, Nyamsu langwar yo, nyamdo samba chanchu chodo, tuke badang. Che sembe kundu cheba dagyang, doji denje, namne jike sumba tara, lekpara dosha sembar nangwar shu. So, firstly, that generating awakened mind in this way, thinking for the sake of all the motherly sentient being equal to its space, and in order to free them from the cyclic existence and it causes karma and afflictive emotions, and then to lead them to complete enlightenment. For this purpose, that I'm going to listening this Mahayana scripture composed by Shandideva, the way of Bodhisattva's life, and then I will going to implement it with that kind of motivation. Listen, this Dharma teaching is the having a right motivation, and then top of that, additional the manner or the conduct also needs to prepare while before we begin this teaching. Um, that listen carefully in an excellent way and then try to implant the meaning as well as the words. So with this now preparation, then the actual, that's the preliminary, the actual teaching, which is we are studying this way of Bodhisattva's life, which has this four theme with the 10 chapter. First two themes, how to receive bodhisattvas within oneself and how to maintain without transgressions, which is we already studied or the learned. Now we are studying the third one, which is how to develop or the improve this our Mahayana spiritual path, or we can say the bodhicitta, uh, until what destiny that one should develop, and that's its guidance and structured instructed from here this third theme within these three chapters, that in order to improve or reach to the final destiny or the ultimate level of improvement our bodhicitta, and we need diligence and meditative concentrations and wisdom, or another word we can say conviction, and which is the uh, necessary for uh, reach to the ultimate developed our Mahayana spiritual path or the Bodhicitta. And then so far we already learned it or studied this, how to develop uh, diligence within oneself. And then this now today that we are studying how to develop this meditative concentrations. So after developing diligence, the next step will going to be that to improve or the developed the meditative concentrations. And then in order to develop this or kind of like improve meditative concentration within oneself, and then we need to understand the why this meditative concentration is necessary for developed our bodhicitta, which is first stanza shown in a very brief, and then the second stanza is the brief instruction of that what is the exact contrary of meditative concentrations, the opposite of meditative concentrations, which is the uh, in short the distraction. But these distractions could be created or caused by how to say involving one's physical in crowdness and involving our mind in so much thinking, too much thinking, conceptualizing. So that's what the contrary of meditative concentrations. And then how that the this that we are following in involving too much in our physical crowdness and the mental conceptual or thinking too much, it is the reason or the condition why these two things that we how to say occurring so much with us. It is because of not um, keeping distance with the mundane activities, in short, the mundane. So that is caused or created by mundane. So as long as we are involved in mundane, then we will not going to able to keep distance or the avoid or abandon those what do you call it, involving our physical in crowdness and involving our mental in conceptualing or thinking too much. That's unable to avoid. And why we need to avoid these two things? It is because of that is the exactly the contrary, or which is the exactly prevent us to develop these meditative concentrations. The person who are constantly involving into these two contrary of meditative concentrations and will not going to able to accomplish or the developed or improve the meditative concentrations. So therefore, and this contrary needs to be avoided. And then from the third stanza onward, and then it's all talking about the elaborating how to um, avoid or abandon those contraries, which is preventing us to develop the meditative concentrations. And then first, it talks about the uh, what do you call them? The reason why, and we need to avoid this physical from the crowdness, and then actual how to avoid this our physical from crowdness. And mainly there are two: the crowdness of inner being inside or inner being, and then the crowdness of outside, those all gain and respect and reputations and so on, and praised and reputations and kind of like a respect and gain and so on, all this. And these are the things that uh, force us to involve so much in mundane. So among this, that we are the what do you call the how to avoid this inner crowdness, which is the being surrounded by that. How to avoid that we already studied. And then we are today here studying this how to avoid the crowdness of outer, which is those in from starting begin from stanza 17 that yesterday we covered this two stanza. Oh, I am rich and well respected. Lots of people take delight in me, nourish such complacency, and later, after death, your fear will start. And how our fear will start. Indeed, O foolish and afflicted mind, you want and crave for all and everything. All this, the answer is here. All this together will raise up as pain itself increased 1,000 folds. And that I already explained yesterday. That I'm just, if I just remind you a brief that this to understand without relying on only on their advice, And other than the, how to say, only on relying on their advice, for us to understand in an experiencing way, or for us to able to imagine how this is possible, that as pain itself increased thousandfold, then I told you that we need to have some sort of like a how karma works, how karma produce its fruition. That's background, the, how to say, information, or the knowledge it is required in order to able to imagine this, how it is possible. And also this one, it talks very elaborate, that actually also if I added more, that the, what you call that how this pain itself increase a thousand folds, because of constantly distracted oneself by those boastful, the boastful being a ego clinging, and boastful by having the wealth, and being a rich person, and then being a respected person, and then being a person who take delight, the other who is the object that others takes delight. And with that, having this boastful, the main problem creator is the boastful here. Without boastful and having all this, just merely having this is the not problem. That we need to understand very clear. This is all begins to create problem when the person start to, how to say, generating sense of boastful. Then this boastful will going to trigger many other emotions, such as a hatred, jealous, desire, and ignorant. And then with all these emotions will force our this three door, physical, verbal, and mental, and force us to involve in many negative activities. And that's how that Shantideva, not much describing here, he is just kind of like a summarizing. If, as if you just spend whole your time by distracting all these things, and or most of the your lifetime and spent with the distracted by these kind of like a, how to say, make it oneself busy with these, then he's making sure the, as pain itself increase a thousandfold. That's it. Very simple. And then if I added this little bit elaborate one here, is that how it is possible by, yesterday I taught about this each and every karma, our deed, action, that how it could produce its fruition in a many different ways, such as it will produce the fruition of ripening, and fruition of um, the dominate fruition, and then fruition like cause, and that I summarized it. And then each has a many different division inside. And then on the other hand, also if I added this one, that by involving in this mundane activity will naturally triggers many emotions, and which naturally force us to engage into many demeritorious activities. And with that, and then that once it is also very much related with the losing this our human precious human birth. Once we lose this our precious human birth, that always those great realized master reminding us in a many scripture, as well as those realized masters, and constantly advising us this precious human rebirth, it's rare, it is great opportunity, and don't mess up. Once you miss this opportunity, and almost like a, it will take eons and eons for you to able to rebirth again, the same as right now what I have all the opportunities. That is also, this understanding also can be added here, that as Shantideva was saying, as pain itself increased thousand folds. So it's thousand folds does not mean exactly 1000, okay? So it's talking about the many. This just to refers to the many. That's why in that we have also saying in Tibetan, when we wanna say many, sometimes we use 100. So 100 does not mean 100 exactly. For instance, like 100 deity torma, we have 100 deity torma. It does not mean it only represents exact 100 deity, no more than 100 deity. It can, it is 100, the word we using, the number we using, the 100. The refers, actually it means the many. Likewise here, thousandfold does not accurate number. It is many. So how? So on the other hand, once by ourselves involving too much into this mundane with the boastful sin and all this out of those all emotion involving too much into the mundane, it naturally forces us to involve so involve so much into demeritorious activity. The fruition of the demeritorious activity itself, it's something kind of like a what do you call a not sweet, not sweet, bitter. So means that by involving into these, what then it could be lose our this opportunity to gain again this precious human. And then once we lose this opportunity, precious human, and then born something else than precious human rebirth, not a necessary animal. Even those kind of like a the even but within a human, like a, if we born as a dumb, if we born as a kind of like a improper faculties, and then also if we born as a kind of like a the barbarian barbarian area, right? All this. So these are all lower from the precious human rebirth. So once we fall, for instance, if I born next life in a barbarian, means barbarian, barbarian, it means, what does it means? Being barbarians, then how to say, almost the whole my life doing something nonsense. That's the meaning of barbarian, right? Barbarians always kind of like a opposite the fact, does not willing to accept the fact, always wants to challenge with the reality. That's barbarian, barbarian. That's the short meaning of barbarian, right? Barbarian means the person who is challenging with the reality. In short, if you challenge with the reality, what is going to be happen? Better not to challenge with the reality, right? Better not to challenge with the fact. And then the barbarians means the person who taking challenge with the reality, means challenging to the karma. For instance, saying like that, the challenge to the reality means, for instance, that, oh, very rough example, killing is virtue. That's actually, if I have this concept, killing is a meritorious activity, then I am really challenging with reality. Now, do you think that I will going to able to defeat reality? Never, ever. Nobody did it in a history, and nobody is doing at the present. Nobody will going to do in the future. There will nobody will going to be uh, kind of like able to defeat the reality, right? Even enlightened Buddha, what does it mean? Actually, on the one hand, the enlightened means kind of like uh, the becoming really inseparable than reality. That's enlightened. That's awakened. So kind of like mingling one's own all this behave attitude with the reality, and that's enlightened. That's Buddha. So anyhow, so the why I am telling you this, I'm just adding sight, okay, on this meaning of this stanza 18, that how it is possible that as pain itself increased thousandfold. So that if I lose this opportunity, let's say even I born as a human but in a barbarian, then next from the barbarian where I'm going to fall, and then lower, 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 lower. That's how it means that as pain itself increased thousandfolds as well. Okay, and it can be understood that how karma produce its fruition in a one hand. On the other hand, it is also can understand as once we lose this opportunity, then how we will going to keep falling lower and lower and lower and lower. Means the pain, as pain itself increased thousandfold. Absolutely, right? And being animals that compare with the being human, oh, so much pain and difficulties needs to take. And then pretas, even more. And then hell goes without saying. So in that way we could understand too. But anyhow, so the now in short, so Shantideva was letting us contemplate these two meaning, these two stanzas, 17 and 18 meaning. It is also itself is also like a meditative concentration. So meditate on this long-term force of involving in this outer crowdness. And when we meditate, we can feel it, we can experience it, we can kind of like some sort of like uh, gain the sense. And then that sense will going to uh, kind of like become what do you call a booster to our the willing to avoid engaging into this outer crowdness. You see, that's how we should do this. This is how Shantideva that training us to how to avoid the uh, involving one's physical to outer crowdness. And then the next, 대외 케베 참이자 착발레니 직바게스. 디다 랑신 도르주에 템버지데 랍도 토스. So, since this is so, the wise have no attachments. From such craving, fear and anguish come. Right? Come. So that is the fault, long-term fault, as we described so long. And then now next two line is on the other hand, also on the other hand, and the and fix this firmly in your understanding. All that may be wished for will by nature fade to nothing. Is it understandable? This is on the other hand, right? One hand, uh, involving one's physical into the outer crowdness will going to produce the above fruition for the long term. And then another reason, also on the other hand, these all things that wealth and respected and delight and all. So the mainly here, what do you call it? That what it is talking about, the all of this naturally it will going to fade to nothing. Does not matter how much we cry, how much we hold. Yes, this is also another truth, another reality. If you look back to the history, present, the person who is being so much cry or attachment to kind of like those things, and then these things are going away. When you crave too much to the wealth, wealth goes away. When you crave too much, crave, when you crave, when we crave too much to the reputation, respected from others, reputation or the respected will going to be go away. Likewise, when we crave or attach too much to the uh, kind of like the people take delight in oneself, and then that people will going to start not to take delight on me. This is very natural. Oftenly I'm reminding this. The Tibetan word say tuk 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 is not touch. Matuk 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 is touch. This is very, every mundane activities are like that. Every mundane, including partners, spouse, and everything is like that. You understand, right? Tuk 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 here. Tuk 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 tuk. Tuk means actually touch. Tuk means touch, but these two lips never touch. When you say tuk, 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 it's never touch. Now you begin to say don't touch, which is matuk, 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 matuk. It touches. All the mundane things are like that. That crave, crave, is it crave? Crave too much to the wealth, wealth goes away. Crave too much to the respect, respect goes away. It is very natural. But not only goes away, but sooner or later, all my wealth and my reputation and the people taking delight in me will going to be fade. That's it's also very natural. Naturally it will going to fade. It will not go, never remained forever, and it will never going to live, how to say, in a history there's a nothing remains forever, and then even present, and then even in a future nothing will going to be remain. That's the another one. That's now Shantideva's, this meaning Shantideva letting us think. On the other hand, these things will going to be actually it is subject to change. It is very uncertain by itself. These all kind of like a wealth and reputations will going to be fade by its nature itself. By understanding this, with that, and then we should contemplate on this, how these all outer crowdness itself is very uncertainty, subject to change. And when we really able to think that, yes, it definitely help us to lay it low towards attachment towards this crowdness, outer crowdness. It will really help us to remove from our mind. That really does. That is something obvious experience. We can feel it when we, uh, even right now, if we just meditate for 10 minutes on this meaning, it definitely gives some effect to be able to reduce or remove that kind of sense. That's what Shandadeva letting us to contemplate on the other hand. Uh, uh, or if I read this two line in the different order, how it seems feels like, I felt it's better maybe we read this, the order is change, like this fourth line put to the third line put to the fourth. If I read this, let's say, can you check how it give you sense? All that may be wished for will by nature fade to nothing, and fix this firmly in your understanding. Actually, in Tibetan, that's how it comes. That Shandideva was saying, Dida Rangshin Dorjurwe, Temper Jide Rabdos. And all those above, richness, respected, delighting, all this outer crowdness are naturally will going to be fade, or naturally will going to be avoid or leave behind. And understand, so that kind of conviction, keep it very firmly. That conviction, keep it very firmly. That's, and then when that conviction, when we keep it firmly, then it helps to reduce our boastful towards these things. Once we able to reduce boastful, and all the other emotions will naturally will going to be fade. When we do not have a boastful of wealth, richness, and respected and delighting, taking delight in me, then when these things fade, we do not generate jealous. We do not generate the worry, concern, and hatred. And then when we have too much, and when we do not have a boastful sense, then we do not generate the next emotion, which is desire, attachment, will not going to be generated. This attachment, desire towards all these things will going to be generated when we keep this sense of boastful on those things. See, this sense of boastful is the main kind of like a the factor, main factor, manufacture now. It is manufacture of rest of the emotions, and the forcing oneself to involve in demeritorious activities. So therefore, mainly that thing has to be removed by implementing this, or meditative concentrating upon its meaning. And then the next one, the similar meaning. Nyeba tani mangjungshin tada nyeba shungjurjang nyedan trabi tsoje de kandu dongwe tolme dos. For people who have gained great wealth of riches, enjoying reputation, sweet renown, But who can say where they have gone to now with all the baggage of their gold and fame? I don't know why this is gold and fame. There's a no gold in in this Tibetan uh, the words, but somehow they translate it. I think they translate trying to translate the meaning, not the exactly words. If you they try to there's no words of God gold in Tibetan in the Bodhicaryāvatāra at all. Okay, so mm, or if we just will, with all the baggage of gained reputation and renown, will go away without knowing where it went. If I add this, translate it in this way, I think might be a little bit better. But this next stanza is not really different meaning than the above, the third and fourth line of stanza 19. Similar, right? It is same, just a little bit elaborating, that's all. Uh, what Shantideva really saying is that the all those gain and reputation and the renown will going to be fade without any notice or without any knowing, will going to be fade. So therefore, don't cry too much or don't cry at all to these things. That's summarized. So with this, from this stanza 17, 18, 19, and 20 is the, I will say, one method to how to avoid the physically involving in outer crowdness. Okay? Mainly it is this 17 and 18 stanzas, and then the 19 first two line. So 2.5 stanza mainly talks about the long-term falls of involving into um, the our physically involved into the outer crowdness. And then the stanza 19, the third and fourth line, and then the stanza 20, it talks about the, on the other hand, also all this, the gain or the wealth and reputation, those, what you call them, respected, these are will going to be fade by itself. Therefore, there's a not so much uh, worth for us to cry and hold on it. Mm. And then now from here, it's mainly talking about this now. The it above it says like in stanza 17, lots of people take delight in me, right? Delight in me. So that is now from this stanza 21 and uh, 21 mainly showing that don't be so surprised by it. That's the main thing it is showing from this stanza 21. Let me read this. Maybe mingar. Oh, where is it? Oh, dala meba shenyo na tebe dagar chishiyos. Dala teba shenyo na mebe mingar chishiyos. Semjen mepa natsoba gyalwe kyani minguna dandra ngembe mejigu tewe jigden sambab tangs. So this next two stanza, 21 and 22, can be go together. The mainly it's talking about don't get so excitement by lots of people taking delight in me. So why should I be pleased when people praise me? Question mark, right? Because other there will be who scorn and criticized. Scorn, scorn, scorn and criticize about me. So why should I so excite by getting some praise, getting praise from somebody? Because I should not get excitement or amazed, because there are also other people who scorn and criticizing about me. So it is equal. It is like a fair. Now this is really talks about the fairness, fair. Uh, and then on the other hand, and why despondent when I am blamed by someone, right? Since there will be other who think well of me. You see, that is also now, if someone is scorning or criticizing about me or blaming about me, and I should not get so mad and sad, because there's some other who also think well about me. No, you see, kind of like a Shantideva was trying to, how to say, uh, making very moderate. This, that is actually talking about the Buddhist behavior. Moderate. Should be moderate. Don't fall in one side. And especially here, talks about this taking, lots of people take delight in me, right? When people take delight in me, one should not get so surprised or excitement. And when someone scorn and criticize and blame, and also one should not get so surprised either. No need to feel surprised, no need to get surprise or excitement. Be in a very moderate. That's what main message that Shantideva was saying. What I say? One message, not main message. One message Shantideva was saying. The main message is to avoid the outer crowdness, right? Outer crowdness. So these are now kind of like a temporarily, what do you call it? The force of involving in outer crowdness actually now. Okay. Mm. And then the next one, so many are the what? Leanings? Is it? So many, huh? So many are the leanings and the ones of beings that even Buddha could not please them all. Of such a wretched as me, no need to speak. So therefore, I will give up such a concern with the worldly things. So mainly, this is the main thing here, Shantideva. So main message is this one. So don't don't worry or surprise so much that, or don't put so effort and involve in trying to pleasing others, right? That's what it. So when someone get pleased, don't get excited. When someone get unpleased, still don't get so surprised. That's what it means. Okay. 대외 직된 sambatangs. So mainly here that that only concerning about that I should I should gain some uh, I should gain that others taking delight in me, concerning only about it. At the same time, neglecting the reality, right? Neglecting the reality. By neglecting reality and then try only concerns to gain some others to take delight in me, then that's the wrong. By not neglecting reality, then even you gain others taking delight in you, then that's okay, right? That's no problem. The main problem is neglecting the reality, and then you are only concerning that how I should gain that others takes delight on me. For that purpose, even I have to oppose the reality. I'm ready to do it like that. That is something now uh, improper. That's what it called the mundane concept. Okay, so just being with reality and then naturally gaining that others taking delight on me, that's not mundane. Okay, I want to make this very clear here. That's not mundane. So from mainly the how it becomes mundane that when I let involve my emotion in general, and then the particularly that kind of like a attachment emotion with that, so concerning about maybe I will going to lose that others taking delight in me if I don't behave proper, if I don't very careful. With that kind of emotion, attachment, concern, then whatever we once do, it becomes mundane. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how nice it looks. It becomes mundane. But on the other hand, that oneself try to be with the fact, reality, right? And then not concerning or being emotion or attach that I will going to lose this other taking delight on me, or I will going to gain that other take delight on me, then that's no problem. That's not concerning that, mainly staying with the reality. And then by staying with the reality, then gaining, okay, not gain, still okay. But mainly has to be with that. And when we are being with the fact, reality, and then that keeps oneself away from the mundane. We neglect this basic base, and then we only worry about this kind of like other taking delight on me or not so much, and then based on that trying to work so hard, and then that's all become mundane. Doesn't matter how outlook look nice, doesn't matter, it becomes mundane. Now this here Shantideva was saying Deve jikten sambatang, I will give up such a consent with the worldly things. That's what it means, right? Worldly things. Hmm. Simjen mela mes. And then also this temporary uh, falls of kind of like a uh, craving towards this gain and reputations and so on. That Semjen nyeba mela me nyeba chen la minyenju rangshin droka tetagi gawa jidar kewar gyurs. Kanchir jiba rangdenni mebar gawa mi jungwe. Jiba gayang she minshe tishin sheba namji songs. And then also the people scorn the poor who have no wealth. That's really natural, right? And then likewise, on the other hand, they also criticize the rich who have it. Yeah. What pleasure can derive from keeping company with people such as this, so difficult to please? Drive. Yeah, drive from keeping company with people such as this, so difficult to please. This is something very truth. People scorn the poor who have no wealth. They also criticize those who are rich, who have who have it, the all wealth. What pleasure can derive from keeping company with people such as this, so difficult to please? This is something kind of like a temporary fault of involving in outer crowdness. We we have this one that uh, I think many of people you have it maybe. There's there's a one picture has a uh, four different picture in one frame. Four different picture. One couple, right? One old couple. One old couple, and then two another person, and one donkey. Five of them. Five of them. And then first picture, this old man who is riding the donkey, and then his wife let work. He's letting work his wife work. And then these two people criticizing about this. How this bad old man that he himself riding donkey and letting his wife work. You see one thing. And then the next picture, he's letting ride his wife and then he himself working. And then this same two person saying again, oh, how this foolish old man or this how this the wife that the female the wife is so what do you call it, selfish or whatsoever. In short, criticizing again. And then now the third picture, both of them riding the donkey. And then again this two person saying, oh dear, this two doesn't have any common sense. They don't even consent about donkey by riding both of them on this small donkey. And then they criticize, in short, criticize. And then the fourth picture, both of them working and donkey let donkey also work together. And then these two men again criticizing by saying, oh, this poor couple doesn't know how to utilize donkey. You see now, what you can do other than this four now, any other than this four. With this donkey, there's a nothing else they can do any of other than this four now. They must do one of these four with the donkey. Other one should write and other work, or both write, or not write at all. That's all they can do with the donkey. But this message is what? The main message is regardless, whatever you do, they will going to be always criticized. So just do whatever it is fact, reality, and beneficial. Right? Whatever it is fact, reality, and beneficial, without concerning much about what other says or not says. Do not. That really doesn't matter. You see, these kind of like a people, the normal people, are so difficult to please. Yes, better not to keep company. This is both side, okay? Both side, male, female, both side. It is not just one-sided difficult. It's difficult for both, unfortunately. Yes, it is difficult for both. Very difficult. Uh, Continues going the next stanza 24. In kindness, childish beings, take no delight unless their own desire are satisfied. Now, this is very natural of ordinary being. The childish here childish refers to very mundane person, right? Mundane. In kindness, childish being take no delight unless their own desire are satisfied. When we satisfied our own desire, we may able to adjust a little bit. The childish being never going to do something where there's a no any gain for them, where there's an it is means in short like a selfish. Kangchir chipa rangdun mebar gawa mi ways. This is very natural of being. A childish person thus is no true friend. This the Tathagata have declared. So the childish person, it's not true friend here. Now, this is now talks about the friend. Let me talk about something about the friend. True friend. Now we need to understand this is something very difficult to accept this. Many time, especially those kind of like who are studying in a college, in a university, those young boys and girls, they often kind of like end up with the bad friends. It is very tough and difficult to get a true friend in mundane, yes, naturally, because of the childish person, because they won't do anything unless they have some beneficial for themselves. Through this, they can get satisfaction. If whatever they do, if they do, if through that activity, if one do not get satisfaction from this by this, oh, then probably childish person will not going to be involved in this kind of activities. On the other hand, only those foolish bodhisattvas will going to be involved in this kind of activities. Let me tell a little bit about this true friend. We need to understand very much this true friend. Many people, they don't understand the true friend, including myself. First, let me tell you a little bit the definition of true friend. True friend, that who letting go of one's wishes for providing and supporting and helping when someone or when one's friend need it. And also the pointing out the friend's weakness, mistake, misbehave, and misattitude, without hesitation, but hoping so friends they can modify it. Actually, person who is doing to oneself. Okay, actually the person who does these kind of things to for me, I should understand and I should take that person as my true friend rather than always praising me. No, regardless whatever I did, appreciating, then something is problem there. This is all talking based on a childish person, okay? Mundane, according to the mundane. In a mundane, when our friend not, how to say, not pointing out my weakness, my mistake, my misbehave, my misattitude. Okay, for me, being a childish, being a mundane, definitely I will make mistake. Everybody make mistake, right? But the true friend, to change that mistake or to modify that mistake is also their responsibility, not only mine, but also that my true friend, also their responsibility. So therefore they take this as a responsible. Then they will going to tell me, oh Tuku, I think this is what your weakness. This is, you made a mistake. This is something misbehave, misattitude. Pointing out all this without hesitation, but hoping so Tuku can modify it with that intention, right? That type of person, if within your college or university, if you encounter with such a that type of person, then you can consider, oh yeah, that is my true friend. Person who is giving company to me to go to the uh, go tour together, go to the beach together, go to the restaurant together, go to the club together, go to the, I don't know, movie, watch movie together. True friend or not, cannot judge by these things. True friend or not, really much can judged by checking that whether my friend doing this to me or not. Yeah, the one thing is that the letting go of one's wishes for the friend when the friends need it. That also should be the kind of like a very reasonable too. You, it cannot say like that. You make some very silly nonsense wishes and then letting your friend to fulfill that, that's not true friend then. For instance, I wanna marijuana so badly, right? That's my need now. That's my need. And then my friend who is letting go their own wishes and then working so hard to get marijuana and then give it to me. They fulfill my needed, actually, my need. That's actually bad friend who is fulfilling these kind of things is bad friend. Forget about true friend. It is not friend at all, actually, right? Not friend. But here, that why I said this, because I said this definition of true friend, right? True friend means go off one's wishes for the friends when they need it. But we need to understand their needs is rational or unrational too. You cannot say, oh, this is what I need, and then you are not doing this for me, therefore you are not my true friend. Okay, then I'm sorry. Okay, I'm not your true friend then. You cannot be really unrelevant and then demand your need. Okay, that I have to make it clear when I say this definition of true friend. True friend means, okay, one thing that letting go of one's wishes for the friends needed. And then pointing out the friend's weakness, mistake, misbehave, misattitude without hesitation, but keep hoping that if I pointed out all this, my friend may concern about modification, modified, will change. With that sense, with that good intention, I could say, the good intention. And then pointing out their weakness, their mistake, their misbehave, misattitude. That's true friend. Now that will be the, I could say like that, that could be the true friends, the definition of true friend. With that, we can now analyze, check, even one's partner. Same, okay? We can check with this, one's spouse, one's partner. Are they really true my partner? Are they really true my spouse? That how to check whether they are whether they are able to do these things for me or not. That we can check. That's how we can define it. But that is so difficult to find inwardly mundane. It's very difficult to find. Anyhow, I'm just telling you the definition of true friend. So how to understand that whether this surrounded persons who is staying close to me, whether they are my true friend or not, by analyzing in this way. This is all I'm talking based on a mundane, okay? So the childish person. But normally, this in a childish person, oh, that type of friend is so difficult. Therefore, it is saying a childish person thus is not true friends, not true friend. Who declared that? This is the Tathagatas have declared. Now, this is Shantideva's letting it reference using the reference from what Buddha said about childish person. So that these like those stanza 21, 22, 23, and 24, these four stanza, it's mainly talks about the temporary force of kind of like a involving so much one's physical in outer crowdness. So the mainly that two reason, right? That ultimate force of involving in crowdness, outer crowdness, and the temporary force. With that sense, contemplate upon those things and then try to how to say, do a meditation on it, contemplate on it, like analytical meditation. This is all analytical meditation we can do upon all this meaning. And then try to lay it low and remove the sense of attachment or craving towards this outer crowdness, such as gaining a reputation and um, concerning about others taking delight in me or not. And then now from here, stanza 25 onward, um, stanza 25 onward until the stanza 38, from 25 to 38, isn't it 11, 12, 13, 14 stanza, right? This 14, next 14 stanza from 25 to 38. Next is this almost 13 stanza. It talks about the after avoiding this outer crowdness, inner and outer crowdness, then the from here it talks about the quality of solitude, quality of solitude, the being isolated, right? Isolated one's physical from the crowdness, the quality of isolated one's physical from crowdness. and with understanding its quality, and then how to how to say, how to hmm, how to stay, in a isolate solitude place. Yeah, solitude. This is now talking about the solitude place quality, with understanding of quality of solitude place, and then how to rely or depend in solitude place, right? From this stanza 25 on 1 until 38. Okay, the first it's talking about Nana Rida Chanamda quality. Here it's talking about this 25 and the 26 and 27. These three stanza, the actual talking about the quality of solitude place. How? Nagna Rida Chanamda Shingnam Minyan Jemije. Drona Dewa Dedata Namshi Lenchik Dane Gur. Pugam Hagang Tombam Jenshin Tundu Nechede. Namshi Gyaptu Mitashin Chaba Mebar Yushin Gu. Sachok Dagir Sung Mepa Rangshin Gine Yanam Su. Rawan Chu Jincha Mepar Namshi Dani Never Jurs. So now that the three stanza actual talks about the quality of solitude place. That in woodland, hunt of stake and stake, right? Stake. Hunt of stake and bird. Among the trees were no dissension jars, right? No dissension jars. Yeah, bothers, right? Bothers. Jars means bothers, right? It's there I would keep pleasant company. When might I be off to make my dwelling there? You see, this is easy to understand. It's quality, right? The solitude place quality. Likewise, when shall I depart to make my home in cave or empty shrine or under spreading tree? Within my breast a free, unfettered heart, which never turns to cast a backward glance. And then, when might I abide in such a place unclaimed and honorless, that's wide and unconfined, a place where I might stay at liberty without attachment. These are the things naturally exist in those isolated places. But that third stanza, the 27, that way it says, when I might abide in such a place, a place unclimbed and honorless. During the Shantideva times, there are so many places like that. But nowadays, oh, even ocean, we make boundaries. Even inside the ocean, we make boundaries now. Now, this is very unfortunate time. If Shantideva write this scripture today, he may not write this one. Because almost in the world, there's no place that unclaimed and honorless right now. Is it? private property, or government property. Even this Canada, look, it's considering as the second largest in the world, which means, and then the population is very rare, less compared with the land. So many empty land, but all owned by someone. Then, if such a place like this big, very rare population, even all the place are owned, then what other countries, what will going to be the remain the other countries then? There's no other countries that left place without owner then. That's unfortunate of our time. During Shantideva's their time, yes, there are so many land like that. They can just work inside and stay there. Nobody will going to say anything, anybody. But nowadays, for instance, these practice, if it does in Canada, maybe police will going to come and catch up and then keep put into the those what you call a shelter, shelter, something like that, and then they may think that we are crazy. This guy has a mental problem. Now this is very unfortunate time now. If you practice this nowadays, oh, everybody will going to think you are crazy, you are cuckoo, gone, mental gone. And then they will going to report police, and then police will come. Police will not let us practice this. Unclaimed and ownerless. Now, unfortunately, there's no unclaimed and ownerless places left. I can predict maybe a whole world now there's no unclaimed and ownerless place left. Anybody think?
You can go to outer space.
Huh?
You can go to outer space.
How, how you survive then?
I don't know.
You see? Yeah, even nowadays, moons are also, they begin to owning the property on a moon by putting their flag. Maybe they possible a little bit Nepal, Tibet, Bhutan, maybe possible, yes. Bhutan is still possible. I know Bhutan, yes. Foreigners, yeah. Then Bhutanese police will, army will going to come and catch you and send back to the your country. Ownerless, unclaimed and ownerless. It's difficult right now. But but you know, no, you know, but now, right now, Shantideva was really talking about the physical isolating, okay? The quality of the physical isolating. Now, this is, we are talking about the something that we need to find it out, that how we can practice this physical isolating. Hmm. Hmm. Maybe our face has little advantage in, we're going to able to stay in those places like Bhutan, Nepal, not the Caucasian face. Is it called Caucasian? Yeah. So and then Caucasian, but Caucasian, their own country, they can do this, is it? No? Hmm? Okay, Canadian people's also not allowed to wander wherever in Canada.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, there's a government property called Crown Land, like
Mhm.
like owned by the government.
Yeah,
Um,
Count land.
yeah, as long as it's not used for, say, the military, as long as it's
Uh-huh.
forest, I think you can go as long as you're not starting fires or doing anything. You can use that land.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, yeah, I've seen people say they'll go and they'll camp on Crown Land.
Mm.
Obviously, a lot of restrictions, like you have to be careful to not litter or start forest fire. Things
Okay, then
too, I
there's
think.
no liberty then.
Not really.
That Shantideva, the next word you call, you did you see that? That's white and unconfined, a place where I might stay at liberty without attachment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's a no liberty. What do you think, Leslie? Liberty?
Close enough.
Close
As
enough?
close as you can get.
Hmm, hmm.
The only other idea I thought was to buy a boat and live on the ocean.
Maybe ocean, one day they will come and tell you to go away. Huh? Anyway, so these three stanza now, Shantideva was talking about the the quality of isolated place. So in isolated place that we have this liberty, um, that kind of like we might can do whatever we want. Nobody will going to judge, right? But nowadays it's a little difficult to find a place like that. Okay, and then uh, next, hlungse la sok ni tse dang, kun la meko kwe chang shing, lu dim bawar ma je kyang, jik bin ne ba nam shik gyurs. Tutu, okay, nam shik gyurs. Uh, when might I be free of fear without the need to hide from anyone, with just a begging bowl and few belongings, dresses, dressed, and garments coveted by none, coveted by none. Uh, so now, this is one Shantideva was talking about the, in one hand, what do you call it? hlungse la so nye tse tang kun la me ko kwe chang shing lu di bawa ma she chan jikbi neba nam jikme neba nam shik jurus, that just carrying those begging bowl and the what do you call it, few belongings, dresses, dressed in garments, dressed in garments coveted by none. Understand, right? It is very easy to understand. These things are not difficult to understand, though. But okay, now let me tell you here what Shantideva was really trying to saying here is that uh, in a one hand, that the, if possible, yeah, the best, if possible, like become ordained, right? Become ordained and just uh, take care, or the kind of like a carry, so those small little belongings. That's now to us not really relevant. Now for us, on the other hand, we can the best, um, even though a lay person, but like do like a Milarepa, do like a Milarepa. Okay, even though not ordained, but stay with the very few things, which is the kind of like a free of fear. Free, he was free of fear. In his history, there's a very funny history in his life that happened. You know what happened? One night, he's meditating in a cave, and then some came, thief, right? Thief came to his cave with those sword and arrow weapons, in short weapons, and thinking to rob something from him. And then they tried to find some things to rob from him. And then he's meditating. He saw this thief try to find out something from his cave. He's just sitting there, right? And thieves are finding around his cave. And then he laughed. And then he said, what he said was so interesting. He said, even I cannot find in a sunlight day during the daytime, how you guys can find something in the night? Yeah, you see, this is so funny. They are trying to find something in a night. There's no light. In a black, in a what's it, dark. They're trying to find something, like looking something. And then he very laughed at that time. And then he really said that to the thief, that he laughed and he said that even I could not found anything in a daytime. How you guys find something in a dark, in the nighttime? This is so funny, you see. But later, yes, they got so mad and they threw him in a river, okay? And not completely free from fear, isn't it? He throw it out in a river later by those thieves, because they get so mad that these people doesn't have anything to thief, anything to steal. But actually he was free of fear. So the best for us that we may can practice a little bit like Milarepa, being a lay, like that, carrying something which is necessary, which is very needed for basic survive, right? Basic survive. And then satisfied with it. But that is still difficult now. If that is not possible, at least be so content, like survive just keeping basic needs, right? Just keeping those all basic needs, like food, shelter, and clothes. These are the things that we human needed for survive. We need food, we need clothes and we need shelter. Now food, so many levels again. Cloth again. Oh, I only wear those branded clothes. Then that's not the basic needs, okay? And then the shelter. Oh, I need shelter with the bathroom, attached washroom, and then kitchen on the side. Everything very facilitated. And that's not talking about the basic shelter either. There are some people, yes, there are. Even I know somebody, my friend, they are lay practitioner. They just try to keep very simple their life. There are some people still in this present moment. That's what it's saying. With just a begging bowl, this begging bowl related with the ordination and few belongings. Now here, few belongings that we can do. Even we do not become ordained, but we can do this. Few belonging dressed. Few belongings dressed in garment coveted by none. Nobody care about these things, right? When you live in a very simple life, and when you kind of like uh, keep those few belonging things, very basic needs, nobody will going to bother you, right? Because they do not covet to these things. When they do not covet to these things, they won't bother spending their time to bother this type of being, this type of person. At least now this is stanza, how we can practice here related with our time. So we can just be like a very moderate and keeping the few belongings, which are like a very basic needs. That is somebody, maybe many, I think, somebody think this is also very challenging and difficult. But owning so many things is also difficult, either. But only keeping few belongings, yeah, we may face some challenge, but we get a lot of free time to do so many other things. And especially kind of like these developed countries, oh, naturally this government made it so tricky systems that everybody, they will kind of like it is not really force directly, but in a very polite way, that system they made it, that they will push everyone to involve in mundane so much. Otherwise, we won't be able to pay mortgage. We won't be able to pay our hydro. We won't be able to pay so many things. And then to make myself to able to pay all this debt, I have to involve in mundane. You see, that's how this system, especially in this developed country, in those third world country, a little bit more free about these things. The property tax is not like here that we need to pay so much. Actually, these many things like mortgages, property tax, and so on things, I also kind of handle like get all this knowledge very later part of my life. When I was young, even 20 until 25. Until I came to Canada, I do not have much about this all informations. Anyhow, so this 28 stanza. 28th stanza is like, when might I be free of fear without need to hide from anyone? When we have so much belongings, yes, then we need to hide from others. We cannot be very free outside, out there. If we're being very open and free to the everyone, oh, I may end up with losing my life, the worst case scenario. If not, I will going to end up with the robbing by someone else. And if I do not have so much belongings, then there's no life threatening. And then maybe I will not going to end up with the robbed by someone either, because there's nothing to rob from me. Just being like a little bit like a Milarepa, right? I cannot find myself during the daytime. How you can find something in my house in the nighttime without light? I cannot find with the light. How you can find without light? So anyhow, so this is now really talking about, I think, for us, be a very kind of like a, how to say, practical. We should be very contentment, I think, here now. That's contentment. Be content with the basic needs. And then now again, I told you like before, like basic needs, the definition of basic needs now we need to discuss so far more. But in short, if I put in a very simple word like that, be content with the basic needs. Only keep those belongings, that which is very necessary for our life, our survive. And then try not to keep so much else. Or other hand, even we have, but not feeling so regret if those lost. If some unfortunately happens and then lost, then not feeling so regret and attached. And that's another story. But here mainly it's talking about that keeping so many belongings keep us busy, keep us distracted. In short, keep us distracted, keep us involving in outer crowdness. So that prevent us to develop our meditative concentrations. For that purpose, then we need to be contained, at least for being very relevant here, related with us, our situation. Be very practical. This stanza we can practice as a being so content and just keeping some belongings which are very necessary for our survival. Okay, so we may stop here now. Time is gone. Okay, now time is past. So we dedicate the merit and take a rest. Sanam de tanje zigba nyen, tonne nye benda nam pamje ne, shega nanje walon tubai, Sibin Solendo and Warasho, Jambal Bawe, Jidara Kimbanda, Kundu Zambo Deyan Deshinde, Teda Kunji Jesun Daloji, Gewan de Da Tamje Radongo, Gewan de Yeshe Okun, Sonam Yeshe Tsozone, Sonam Yeshe Lechonwe, Tamba Kunyin Tobrasho, Sanje kusum nyebe chenlamdan, chunye mingyur dembe chenlamdan, kendin miche dembe chenlamche, jidra moa mel drubar sho. By this beneficial activity, may I obtain omniscience, and having vanquished the harmful enemies, greed, anger, delusion, may I liberate all being tossed about helplessly by the waves of birth, aging, illness, and death in the ocean of becoming. By conforming to the knowledge of courageous Manjushri, Jambalyang, and in the same way as Samendabhadra, Kundusambo, and following their example, I dedicate perfectly all this virtue. By this virtue may all being perfectly achieve the accumulations of merit, sonam, and wisdom, yeshe, and may they thereafter obtain the two holy bodies which result from these two accumulations. By the blessing of the Buddha, Sangye, who obtained the three bodies, by the blessing of the immutable truth of the Dharmada, Chenye, by the blessing of the infallible aspiration of the Sangha, Gendin, may this prayer of dedication be accomplished just as it is. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.